What's been the really significant moment or the significant elements of moving out of Quadras as incubation space and moving on, kind of, you know, growing up and taking that next step?
Well, the biggest and most obvious one is the cost, the sheer cost of it, and all of the logistics that go with that, and taking on having the confidence to move out of somewhere where you feel as though you're really well looked after and everything's put on for you, to having to fend for yourself, right down to buying your own loo roll, because it's all here for you at the Quadras Centre. But the cost certainly is the biggest challenge, and I would say probably going to be the biggest hurdle for anyone moving premises, whether it's from an incubator position or not. But we managed to overcome that ourselves by the business. South Tyneside Council gave us a business development grant to the tune of £25,000. It was matched funding, so we had to demonstrate that we were going to spend at least that, and we did spend at least that. That was, I'm not saying without that we wouldn't have moved, but it went a heck of a long way to help us to do that. And then you just have to have the confidence, I think, in your own business that having taken that big step into the big wide world, you've sort of got a sustainable business to sort of support you over your financial situation, to get over the costs of the move and get you through into the next trading phase, really. So that was certainly the biggest challenge for us, and that's what held us back for so long. Actually, we did think about it for about 18 months. And we were sort of almost bursting at the seams out of here, I think, when we were sort of squashing more people in, and we got to a stage with the business, with its expansion and needing to take on more staff, that we certainly needed bigger premises, and there wasn't another question about it. And we hung on that long here until we really found that we had no option but to move if we wanted to take the business forward. And
when you moved, did you feel that it was a recognition that you were getting bigger?
Certainly, yes. The move coincided with the company expanding. The company couldn't have expanded if we hadn't moved, because we needed to take on more staff and more resources to be able to manage the workload that was coming our way. And also, I think, because we'd sort of got to that next level, we wanted to demonstrate to our client base that we were a company within our own right. We had our own offices, we had our own logo outside, and I think that sort of psychologically was a big sort of lift for us, as well as for the staff as well, to suddenly become self-sufficient, as it were.
Great. And Maureen, you're kind of at the start of the process. Was it scary, kind of taking on the first office for the business? Was it, or did it make you feel, yeah, this is a business now?
Yeah, originally we hadn't planned to do it so early. There was two of us, and we were working from home and meeting people in hotel lobbies, which proved to be a bit inconvenient. But the deal we got with the month in, month out deal we could get was a great security blanket for us, because we were thinking, at the worst, if it doesn't work out, we're up for a month's rent and we can get out. So I think if it had been longer than that, we would have thought harder about the commitment. It felt like a commitment, but it felt like a manageable commitment because of the short notice period we had to give.
But did it feel, again, did it kind of feel like you were now running a proper business? Or
yeah, we needed to make, it was when you're working from home, particularly if you're a woman, maybe I shouldn't say that, nobody really thinks you're doing any work, because everybody comes to the door and your dad turns up and he wants this sorting out. And so you still do all the washing and the ironing, and it all gets a bit silly. And so that we had a need to say to us and everybody else, look, we're going to work, we're not here, we're actually physically somewhere else working. And it meant for our clients and potential clients, we could meet them here instead of driving around. And we worked much smarter because we spent an awful lot of time on the road, driving from one place to the other. So it worked for us on 10 different levels, really.
Great. What about taking on an additional overhead and an additional cost? Because presumably when you're working at home, then you don't have any rent to pay. There isn't that pressure to kind of.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously the main thing we had to consider, and again the deciding factor for that really was the short notice period, the fact that we could, if it didn't quite work out, and I know that sounds quite negative, that we could drop down, even there was the option to drop down to a virtual office, or so it all felt quite secure and not too risky.
And Maureen, I know that kind of coincident with moving into the new offices, you landed your first long-term contract.
Mm.
How did that feel? How, what did you feel that was a really significant moment for the business?
Yeah, definitely. We felt we'd gone beyond the sort of proof of concept, and that we could convince very legitimate, very well-established organisations that we had something to offer and that we could help them with their business. So yeah, we were probably a year ahead of landing a contract than we had planned to be. So it was a great boost for us, yeah.
And what do you think clinched it? What really made the difference in terms of the way you'd been working with clients before, and how you landed that contract?
I think to some extent it depends to who you're talking to in the businesses you're dealing with, and to what extent they can see the value of what you bring. If you're not thinking in the same, particularly when you're managing people, unless you share the same, they can understand what you mean and they can see you, then see the vision that you've got, then I think that's what did it. It was like, we do understand your business, and both Monique and I, my business partner, have business qualifications, so we are business orientated, and I think that's the difference that's got us, with the recession and with business being difficult, to be able to come at different problems from a business perspective really helped us, I think.